Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be cracking open The Housemaid by Freida McFadden.
Oh.
Have you had a chance to read this one yet?
You know, I have, and this is one of those that when I was done, I was like, okay, I need to sit with that for a second. Like, I need to just process what I just read.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
Yeah.
and a lot to unpack there, so I'm excited to kind of dig into that with you today.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we do here, right? Is we like to take these books and these stories, and we really like to just kind of break them apart and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a psychological thriller, and it takes place on Long Island. And it really revolves around this seemingly perfect marriage. But as you might guess, it's not so perfect after all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go, too, you're kind of thrown for a loop because you have Millie, our protagonist, who is ex-convict, and she's really clinging to this idea of a fresh start, trying to grab onto that.
But then you have the Winchesters, who are living this life of luxury and opulence that Millie can barely even imagine.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like this almost like social experiment of what happens when you take someone like Millie, who's had such a completely different lifestyle, and you drop her into this world of, these people with money and this estate and all that. Can you even imagine?
Oh, I can't even fathom. And I think that's where that tension really starts to come from, too, because as a reader, you're immediately questioning everything, right? Like,
Right.
Is Millie sincere? Is she really wanting to change? Or is she being sort of drawn into something maybe a little bit more sinister? It plays with those questions of, can people truly change? Are we all just products of our past? Those really deep questions.
Yeah, and when we meet Nina,
Right.
who is the picture-perfect wife,
Yeah.
I mean, she's always dressed impeccably, always in white. But there's something about her that just feels off,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like something's not quite right there.
Well, and Freida McFadden is a master at building suspense using these little details, right? So it's not like you're hit over the head with it. It's these subtle things, the way that Nina watches Millie, little things she says, her jealousy that doesn't seem to have any grounding, makes you wonder, is Millie just anxious or is she picking up on something real in this family?
Yeah, is it all in Millie's head?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then there's Cecilia, Nina's daughter, who just adds to the creepy vibe of this whole situation. She's got these intense stares that she just fixes on Millie.
Oh, yeah.
Like she's trying to figure it out. I mean, do you remember that part with the abalone sandwich? I mean, that just felt like, a total power move.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely one to keep an eye on. There's a tension between Cecilia and Millie, and you can't tell if it's a spoiled child or something much more calculated.
And then, kind of go in the opposite direction. You've got Andrew, Nina's husband. He seems to be the only normal one, right? I mean, he's charming. He's understanding. And he even defends Millie when Nina accuses her of things.
He does.
It's like he's the one good thing in this house.
But even with Andrew, there's this vulnerability that comes out. He tells Millie about wanting children, which Nina can't give him.
Right.
And suddenly there's this closeness between them that you don't expect between an employer and employee. As the reader, you can kind of feel that pull happening, like something's going to cross a line there.
It really makes you wonder about those lines.
Yeah.
And it does kind of slowly draw you in, too, right? You've got stolen glances, and then a night out on the town, and then all of a sudden they end up in a hotel room at the plaza. It's a whirlwind, and it makes you question Millie's choices. Is she falling for Andrew, or just trying to escape her own past?
That's the question, isn't it? And McFadden really makes you wrestle with that. It's about desire, it's about right and wrong, and it's about the choices we make when we're at our weakest.
And just when you think you're starting to understand Millie, everything changes. Nina finds out about Millie's past, and her reaction is brutal. She humiliates Millie in front of everyone. It makes you wonder if Nina's lost it.
It's a complete shift in power, and you suddenly see the cracks in Nina's perfect image. That vindictive side comes out. What I find really interesting is how Andrew reacts. Even though he seems so understanding before, finding out Millie has this criminal past really shakes him. It creates this distance between them. And you see that even the nicest people have limits.
Yeah. And then you've got Enzo, the landscaper, a seemingly small character, but he really adds another layer of intrigue.
He does.
He barely speaks English, but he seems to understand what's going on better than anyone. He even tries to warn Millie about the danger she's in.
It's subtle, almost cryptic. It makes you wonder how much Enzo really knows. Is he trying to protect Millie, or does he have his own secrets?
Yeah, it's like everyone in this book has their own secrets and motivations. You're constantly trying to unravel them. And just when you think you're getting a grasp on things, everything changes. Nina disappears. And Millie's left in a very dangerous situation.
That's where the psychological thriller element really takes over. You're left wondering, did Nina run away? Was she taken? What is Millie's role in all of this? It just builds and builds that tension.
Yeah, it does. And then there we are, just Millie and Andrew. And suddenly, the charming, understanding husband is not so charming anymore.
Yeah.
He locks Millie in the attic, and that luxurious house becomes a prison.
It's crazy how the whole atmosphere changes. Same house, same rooms, but everything feels different. Nina's gone, and Andrew's true intentions are coming out. You really feel trapped along with Millie.
It's almost claustrophobic, the way McFadden describes the attic, and the way Andrew starts to torture Millie mentally, playing mind games, manipulating her. It's almost like he's mirroring what Nina went through.
That's a good point. Both Nina and Millie, they've both been manipulated and controlled. It makes you think about the cycle of abuse. Does being a victim give you the right to hurt someone else?
That's a tough question. But Millie, even though she's terrified, she's strong. She uses pepper spray to fight back and escapes with Cecilia. What a moment.
Oh, that escape scene. It's so intense. You're right there with them, hoping they'll make it. And just when you think they're safe, Nina comes back. Talk about a twist.
I know what's going on. Is Nina good? Is she bad? And then they find Andrew dead. Everything changes again.
That's where the story goes from escape to survival. Who's responsible for Andrew's death? Was it Millie defending herself? Was Nina involved somehow? It's impossible to know.
McFadden is so good at keeping you guessing. You're trying to figure everything out, and then another twist comes along. And then, to make it even more complicated, Nina, Millie, and Enzo, they team up to hide the truth.
That's what gets me. They're working together. It makes you think about what's right and wrong. Are they doing the right thing to protect themselves, or are they becoming criminals?
It's a really tough question that sticks with you. And the ending doesn't give you any easy answers either. Nina, she starts a new life, free from her marriage. But Millie takes a job at another wealthy house, a house that's eerily similar to the Winchesters.
It's unsettling. Has Millie really escaped the cycle of abuse? Or is she drawn to these situations? It makes you wonder if we're all just stuck repeating our past.
It really makes you think about the patterns in our own lives, the choices we make. Are we really free to break free from the things that haunt us? It's a powerful ending that stays with you.
Yeah, it's like she can't escape it. Can she? Can any of us really escape our past? I mean, that's a big question right there.
And that's what makes this book so good. It just throws these really deep questions at you. It makes you think about human nature, about the choices we make, and there are no easy answers.
It's not a comfortable book, you know? It's dark and it gets under your skin, but it's also hard to put down. You just have to keep reading to see what happens next.
It's a masterclass in suspense and how to mess with the reader's mind. You're constantly on edge trying to figure out what's real and what's not and who to trust.
And then bam, another twist comes along.
Oh.
Exactly. You think you've got it figured out, and then the rug is pulled out from under you. And it all comes down to whose perspective you're seeing the story from. The same event can mean totally different things depending on who's telling it.
It makes you realize that we all have our own version of the truth, right?
Oh.
And even when someone seems like they're telling the truth, they could be hiding something.
Absolutely. And speaking of perspectives, what did you think about Millie's relationship with Cecilia? It really stands out in the book, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge part of the story.
Yeah.
It's like Cecilia represents everything that Millie wants, you know, innocence, hope, a fresh start. It's like a reminder that even in the darkest situations, there's still good in the world.
It's interesting, too, because Cecilia is more than just a kid in the story. She becomes the symbol of Millie's own desire for redemption. You see this really strong bond form between them, despite all the craziness going on around them. And it's like a testament to how powerful love can be and how it can keep you going even when things are falling apart.
It's a tough book, but a really good one. It's disturbing, but it makes you think. It stays with you long after you finish it.
If you're looking for a book that will challenge you, keep you on the edge of your seat, and really make you think about human nature, then The Housemaid is the one for you. It's a reminder that things are not always what they seem, and that even the most perfect lives can have dark secrets lurking beneath the surface.
So, if you're ready to take a deep dive into a world of secrets, manipulation, and psychological suspense, check out The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. We'll leave a link to the book in the episode description.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. What did you think of the characters? The ending? What questions did this book raise for you? Share your thoughts with us on social media. We love hearing from our listeners and getting different perspectives on the books we discuss.
That's it for this deep dive into The Housemaid. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those pages turning.